Hello, everyone, and I hope you all are doing really well and practicing for your exams and preparing well so that you all can get good results. And today we'll be doing some SQL previous year questions. So basically, these are not MCQ based questions, these are like you can say that you have to run the query. So in few exams, you get these compiler where you have to run the SQL query, and they are a bit new concept to you because you are like you have done DSA in different languages, and you have done problem solving for your exams, and you have done MCQs, of course, aptitude, reasoning and everything, but MCQs of computer science also. But yeah, so running SQL query is something that you should at least see that what and exactly how it is done. So it's actually very simple. Like generally, how you run your query, it's just like that. And the schema and everything else, like the tables are already created, the values are already there. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that, how a table is being created or how the values are in a table or what values are there in a table. You just have to take care about that, what variables are given to you in the schema, because the schema is always given to you. And based on that schema, you'll be given 2, 3 questions, like maximum three, minimum two, that's it. And they'll be like of easy to medium category, I would say. Like it will be long, sometimes it may be long, or sometimes it may be very short and easy. So one question is very short and easy, and one question is very, like not very, but one question is medium. Okay. So you have to see how to practice these questions. So today we'll be taking few, like 2 questions for practice. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, cool. Fine. So this is your previous year of SQL previous year. I hope it is visible. So let's see the first schema. I hope it is a bit blurred as this is a screenshot, but this is visible. And let's see that. So these are basically our tables. This is table number one. This table number two. Okay. So these are basically our tables. This is a table with table name viewers. This is a table with table name program, channel, and then okay, so one more is there. Okay, so what you have to do is, as you are already given the names of the tables, and one is your channel category. Yup, something like that. Okay, so these are your tables. You have to understand this, that when you're given a schema, these boxes are your tables, and inside these boxes are your, you can say, variable or name. Okay, so these are linked in this manner. This shows your, you can say, that how these are linked with which variable these tables are linked. Okay, so let's not, whenever you're given a question, try not to jump to the schema first. Like you can of course understand that what a schema is, or you can always see that how a schema is built, but understanding the schema first is very difficult, because if you try to memorize the schema and then solve a question, it becomes very hectic. I'll tell you why. Because in the exam you don't have much time, and you have to be very precise about how you're spending your time. So if you'll see that in this schema, the schema is quite lengthy. So if you're gonna memorize everything, that account has account ID, customer ID, branch, and this is gonna waste your time. What you have to do is you have to go to the question. Like suppose this was an easy schema, but in these type of schemas and many other schemas are like this only, that they are very big and very lengthy. So you just get confused in the schema, or when you see the schema, your confidence gets very low that this is a difficult question. But in reality, it is not. So we'll see that what kind of question these are. Let's go to this schema first. And so you have seen a schema that it's something about viewers, program, channels, and everything. Okay. Now let's come to the question. So we have one question from the schema. Okay. the category ID and category name whose name starts with M. Okay, so you have to just give your answer in two columns. That is, you have to just give the category ID and the category name whose name starts with M. So what is your condition here? Your condition is that the name should start with, or the name should begin with a M. Okay. So you know what you have to do. You have to apply the pattern wise logic. Okay, pattern. This is a pattern like question. So okay. To solve these questions, I'll be using online schema, online SQL, sorry, online compiler, not online schema, online SQL compiler. So I always prefer one compiler for solving SQL problems. Okay. So yeah, they have given a basic like uh table structure. So this is how you create a table. Create table, table name, and then your variable names. So this is your variable name and variable data type. Basically, in other languages, you first write, like in programming languages, you first write data type and then the variable name, but here it's a bit vice versa situation. Okay, and that's how you insert the data, that is insert into and then your name of the table. Then you mention your variable names and then the values. Okay, make sure that the values match the data type of the variable. So if it is like int varchar, then here the comma should not go missing, or here there should be no varchar, like here there should be no name such as, there should be no name such as like SQL. No, you cannot put SQL here, you have to put an integer. Okay, then only it is acceptable. And by running this query, you see your whole table. So if I'll run it, you'll see that this is the whole table. Okay, but as these questions, I do not have their schema, or I do not have their tables built or their data. Hence, we'll be simply saying that how to run the question, because in the exam also you won't be given the, like the variable name, and of course everything else is given, but you don't know that what values they have inside. So we'll be copying that only. Okay, I hope this is visible. Yep. Okay. Now the first question was category ID, category name. Now let's see that where category ID and category name lies. Okay, so category ID and category name lies here in this table. Fine. So it was so simple to just put your eyes on one table and you have to print it. That's it. There was nothing else. You did not even need the other tables. You did not need any other foreign key. So this is basically the simplest kind of question that can be asked. And let's try to solve it. Okay. Okay. So what you have to do as the first step is you have to select. You have to fetch whatever you want. So you'll select the column. Okay. The second step would be from where exactly you want to take it. So then comes the from statement. Select from, and the third will be that what exactly you want to take. So it will be your condition. So select from where. Okay, always keep in mind, select from where. So you'll select the column name from the table name, and where will tell you the condition that what you exactly have to select. Okay, so in this question, I'll write select. I can write it in small letters, I can write it in capital letters. Doesn't matter, it will give me the output. Okay, hope this is visible. Am I sharing my screen? Yeah. Okay. So select. And now what you have to select is you have to select the category ID. See, you have to select the category ID. Now the problem is, not the problem, but the thing is that here it is mentioned that this should be the column name that should appear exactly. Now if you see the table, the category ID and category name is exactly like this. I know that it says category ID, category name. But if you'll see, this is in capital caps lock and this is in small. So what to do now? Because you cannot change the table variables, right? You do not have access to that. You are sitting in an exam with absolutely no idea about where the tables are located or whatever, how it is coming to you. So what you have to do, you have to use aliases. Now, what alias does is ALIAS. What it does is, if suppose a particular column is named something else in your schema or in someone's else schema, but you wanna show it under some other column name, which may or may do not exist as a column name. So you use an alias. Okay. So we'll see how it works. Select C dot category category ID as, now this is your alias. As you can see, this is a keyword too. Category ID as, I have turn it to capital. Category ID. What else you were supposed to select? You're supposed to select again C dot category name. Category name as alias category name. Okay. Oh no, just press enter. Yeah. Okay. Now you're done with it. Now you must be wondering that why I'm writing C dot. It could have simply been written as category ID, category name. Yeah, it could have been. But the thing is that it is the short form for C. So whenever you are joining two tables, it becomes very lengthy to write the whole query, to write every name of the table again and again. So you give these as short word short key for the table name. So category here, this table is referred to as C. So how will my SQL compiler knows that C stands for my particular table? Is like this. From, what was the name? Channel category. Oh, this is again in caps. Channels category. Now, how will my compiler know that I'll referring channels category as C, just C? I'll write C here, a small c here. Now it will know that channels category is being referred to as C in the whole program or in the whole query from C. Okay, so now you have done basically two things. That is, you have selected the column name that you want, and you have selected the column name, and then you have mentioned that from which table you want it. Okay, now is the time to select or to tell that what is your condition. So you'll write where. Okay, now what was your condition? That the starting word that it should start from the alphabet M. Okay, so where C dot category name. Now you all know that we use like here. So like like, it's a keyword. We use like here, it's for pattern type questions. Like, then you'll write M, and then what comes next? Percentage symbol. Okay. So now you know that it means that M should be the first thing to come, and percentage denotes that anything can come afterwards. Okay. So it should start from M. Like anything can come, like mango, mania, marvel, magic, anything can come, doesn't matter, but it should start with M. And after that, anything can come, any special characters or number of characters, doesn't matter. So this is what your first answer gonna look like. Okay, so it's not that difficult. The only new thing okay, so you learned three new things here. If you were already aware about select, from, and where. So those were alias, your shortcut, that how you have to make it, and then your like or your pattern type question. Okay, so without wasting time, let's move on to next schema. That's what it is here. Okay, next schema. Now this is quite big. You might get confused, or you see when you'll see this in an examination, it might be like it's really like it's really confusing or really lengthy. Okay, but don't worry about that. First, go to the question that is about of hardly about 3 lines, right? Okay, so let's read the question first. That is the transaction ID, transaction amount, and transaction type of all the transactions whose transaction type is debit and transaction amount is greater than 1,000 or 10,000 but less than 50,000. Okay, so you have two condition here and they should go simultaneously. It means you have to use and here. So and is basically used when you want both the condition to be fulfilled simultaneously, like you want this to happen as well as this to happen. Okay, but when you use or, you want only one condition to come true, like either this can work or this can work, doesn't matter, that the name should begin with M or it should end with M. But suppose if I want that my name should be ma'am, okay, so I'll write that it should begin with M and should end with an M. Should end with M. Okay. So and is basically when you want both the conditions to be true at the same time, simultaneously. And or is when you want either of the conditions can work. Okay. Okay. So you have two conditions here and both needs to be both needs to be satisfied together simultaneously. So whose transaction type is debit, this should be your transaction type, and transaction amount should be in a range of 10,000 to 50,000. Okay. So, and what all you have to display on the screen is here at, in the first line, that the transaction ID, transaction amount, and transaction type of all transactions. So you have to mention transaction ID, transaction amount, and transaction time in this manner. So you have to use the alias again. Okay. So let's see in the table that way we can find all this. Transaction type is here. Transaction ID is also here. Transaction ID, amount and transaction ID, transaction amount, I guess, and then transaction time. So everything is here in this table. Okay. So we have to just, okay. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so basically we were in the next question. Yeah. So you've been given transaction ID, amount. You have to find out transaction ID, amount, and transaction type. And we just saw that in which table this all lies. It lies in this table that is named as transactions. Okay. So we have to do just, we have to put the condition here. Okay. So again, very, very simple that we have to write the select statement. And then we have to mention that what variable or what column we exactly want. So select. Then we want is amount, that is amount as amount. Okay. One more thing is required this time, that is your transaction type. That what is the exact type of transaction, UPI, cash, or whatever. So we'll use the alias and we'll again name it as capital. You can name it as anything like capital transaction method. Okay. Whatever suits method. Okay. Now you have to mention that from where you want to fetch all these things. So basically what you did is you mentioned that what all things you want or what all things are required. And then you mentioned that in what way you want these things to be, like under what column name you want this value or you want this information to be placed. So you used alias for that. And now you'll use from. From, what was the table name? Transactions. Transactions. Then you mention the condition. So there were like two, three condition. Like there were two condition and those two have to be filled simultaneously. So the condition was that there should be a range, like it should be between 10,000 and 50,000. And the second condition was that it should be a debit type. Okay. So I'll mention that where transaction type is equal to debit. So this becomes your second condition. Now this is not like pattern like. Okay. Pattern like questions are where you have to make, where you don't know that what exactly you want, but you want something like this. So you do not know that you want it to be debit, but you want that it should start from D, or it should have B in it, or it should be of 5 words, 5 letters. Okay. So this is what where pattern like questions or like basically like keyword helps us. But when you're very clear or the requirement is very clear that you want it to be exactly debit, then you don't have to use all that. You have to simply use is equals to. And amount greater than 10,000 simultaneously, and amount should be less than, yep, 50,000. Greater than 10,000, less than 50,000. So what we did in this question is we simply selected the columns. We changed their column name using the aliases, as at that how we want them to be displayed on the screen, or how we want them to be displayed to the client, or how we want them to be displayed to our examiner. So we just changed the column name according by using the alias. And we then selected that from which table ID do they belong, from which table do they actually belong, from which table they are coming, what is the exact address. So we write the table name. Okay. Now, then we mentioned our condition, which is very clear in the question itself. So I don't think any problem is there. Now this query will run. Okay, cool. Now this particular schema has one more question with it. As I told you that each schema can have 2 or 3 questions associated with it. This particular schema has 2 questions associated with it. Okay. So the second question says is the first name, contact number, and balance of all the customer whose account type starts with SA. Okay. Okay, fine. So it says that the first name you want, what do you want to display? It is telling us that. What we want to display is we want to display the first name. Okay. Then we want to display the contact number. And at the end, we want that the balance of all the customers should be displayed. So we basically have to display the details of the customer. That is the first name, contact number, and the balance of the customer. Now, what is the condition? Whose account type starts with SA. SA is for savings account, I think. But might be possible that there is some other kind of account that we are unaware. Savings, salary, okay, 2 types. Saving account, salary account. So if we are like that, okay, we want SA beginning. So what keyword we're gonna use here is like. Correct. So we'll be using like here. The output should be ordered by the customer's first name. Okay, so now you have to sort it also. That is, you have to use order by. Okay. Your output should have 2 columns. How 2 columns? Here are 3 columns. You can view the database. Okay. So here are 3 columns. Now this is a printing mistake, not by me. So your output should have 3 columns as given below. That is first name, contact, and balance. And as they're saying that you have to use the sort. Sort in SQL is done by order by keyword. So let's see the schema that where all these things exactly like that is first name, contact, and balance. First name lies here, contact lies here, but balance do not lies here. Balance lies here. Okay. So your first name lies here in customer. This is your first name. This is your contact. Now this lies here in your one table. Now till now you were doing questions where only one table was required, so you were not using any joins. But if you'll see that the next information, that is balance, lies here in this table. And how it is connected? It is connected through this. Okay. It is connected through this. Now this is your second table that you're going to use. Now what variable do you think is similar from this table and this table? Just have a look. So we have account ID. Do we have account ID here? No. We have customer ID. If you can see, we have customer ID here. If you all can see, right? And we also have customer ID here, though a bit messy now, but this is our customer ID. Fine. So customer ID is the key, that is the primary key in one table. Now comes a very important concept, that customer ID, a concept about foreign key. So what is foreign key basically? If you know that foreign key is, it should be a primary key in one table and should be present in some other table, right? So customer ID here is primary key, right? In customer table. Here it is the primary key, it is bold, so that's how you recognize the primary key. Basically, IDs are only primary key, but also it is bold here. So customer ID here is the primary key. And here in accounts, it is present. It means it is a foreign key in account. It is a key that links two tables. So whenever we want information from account, or we are using accounts and we want information about the customer, we have to use the foreign key, that is customer ID. Okay. So this question is what a bit you can say, like bit that they have put all their efforts to test your knowledge. Okay, so now we know that our data that we want is present in two tables, and hence we're going to use a join to connect these two tables. And to use a join, we need to have a foreign key, right? Okay, let's solve this question. That is, first we'll write select as usual. Now, I have told you in the beginning only that when we use join kind of things, join kind of tables where we have to use the name again and again, then we need the shortcut for the whole table name. So we're going to use that. So customer will be named as C dot first name as first name. Okay. The second thing you want is C dot contact. Now contact and first name both lies under the customer table as contact. Third thing you want is balance. Now balance comes from the account table. So you'll use A for account. A dot balance. Alias as balance. Okay. So now you have mentioned that what all you want. Now what is the next thing? You have to mention the from. So let's see how you mention from while using joins. From customer. See, now this is where you want your two things. So customer, and I have mentioned C here. Why? So that compiler will know that this C when I'm referring to is customer, right? From C. Now you'll use join. What you have to use, what you have to join with customer, you have to join the account table. So you'll mention account. Account, I hope this. Yep, now it is more visible. Join. Now what you have to mention? Account. Account. And what is the short form from account? We have to write here A. Now joining has its own condition, that how your column rows are going to match. That is a very, main question, that how you will know that the balance in account belongs to this particular customer in customer table. How? What is the common connection? The common connection was customer ID. So what balance, like the balance will have the customer ID. That same customer ID should belong to the customer in your customer table. So account A on C dot customer ID, that customer ID should match with A dot account, sorry, A dot customer ID. So both have this customer ID. Now the customer ID of one should match with the customer ID of two, that the value of both the customer IDs in both the tables should match. Then only that whole complete row will match. Then only you will find that, okay, this particular person has this much balance and there will be no mistakes. Fine. So join, whenever you use join, there is a particular condition of join of its own. And that is basically to match the foreign key with the primary key. Like foreign key that is in one table is the primary key of the other table. So you just have to match the value of that foreign key and primary key. So account, okay. Now you have joined these two tables. Now comes the part where you have to mention the condition. So still the question is not completed. Now you have to mention that what condition it was, that on what basis you have to select, who you have to select. So the condition will write simply as where only. Where A dot account type like account type, what was the condition? The first name, contact number, should, whose account start with SA. One second. Okay, so the condition is that you have to mention the account type also, that the main condition is focused on the account type. So again, you have to use join here to join one more table, that is your account type. So you join account underscore type and you'll give this as 80, I would say. 80 on what will be the condition, that the foreign key and the primary key should match. So what will be the condition? On A dot account type should be equal to 80 dot account type ID. Let's see what is account type. Where do we have account type? Okay, so here only we have account type, that is an account itself. Okay, this is account type ID. So account type ID will again match with account type. So we have to join these three tables in this triangular manner. So this is already joined with this. Now we have to join this with this. So the primary key here is account type ID, because account type ID is present here also. Okay. So join account type. You have to join account type 80 on A dot account type ID, it was, I guess. Account type ID is equals to 80 dot account type ID. Okay, so you have to join these two. Now comes the condition part, where now Why it was necessary to join this third table is because to fulfill the condition, we need to know what is the type of the account. And the type of the account, this value was not present in this table. This value was present in this table, right? So, where 18, 80 dot account type name. So account type name should be like what? It should begin with SA. It can be salary, it can be saving, but it can have any type of ending, right? 12 user percentage, that anything can come after that. Suppose if a name of account is like savior, so this should also come SA. Or if it is like Savi, so Savi should also come like, okay, okay. So now you'll order this. Order this means you'll sort this. Order by, and you have to order it by the sorting order of the first name. So first name belongs to which table? Customer table. C dot first name. Now, if you want that the customer names will come in the ascending order. Suppose A, B, C. But if you want that it should come in the descending order, then what you'll do? You'll write here D, E, S, C. Okay, that's it. So if you write D, E, S, C here, it will come in descending order like D, B, D, C, B, A. And if it is in ascending, if you do not mention anything, then automatically it is assumed to be in ascending order. So it will come in this order. Okay, cool. Fine. So with this, we have completed these few questions and you got to know the idea about order type, about joins, how to use joins, and how to tackle with these questions. That not to jump to the schema first. First, read the question, see what is asking, see where it is actually lying in the schema. And on the basis of that, you can see that what you need to do, what you need to fetch, and how you need to write your query. Okay, so these are the few basic steps, and select from where this is something, the basic structure of every SQL query you have to keep in mind. Okay, so I think you are good to go. You're done with alias. Like all the things in this question was covered. Okay, so I would say that practice on these topic only. Practice joins, very important, and practice pattern like questions, or practice sorting like order by or group by also. Group by is something a very important topic and something that needs a bit practice. So just like joins. So joins is also very important. Okay, bye.